broadcasting. And now we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to so many. Wait, adventure on so many levels. I almost did the Watching 100 Movies intro. But this is so many levels, and we're playing Root the Role Playing Game. Yay!
Yay!
I'm Christiana Ellis, and I am the Game Master. Our players tonight, Paul Weimer as Arbon Ironwing.
I've never been bullied by a blue jay before. I don't like it.
Nobilis as Lancelot Vent.
What's that I hear?
Jason Banks as Clem Sparrow.
It's time to go spelunking.
David Archambault as Nigel Farnboot.
Who will be the one we find?
And Lee Burdett, off camera for this evening, as Peppa Pika.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is actually what I look like.
So, there we go. Okay, I'm not sure what that was all about. Is it fixed for you guys?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know what that was, but I'm a little concerned. Okay. Never seen it do that before. Anyway, where was I? When last we left our vagabonds, they were investigating a murder. As they went to go hide out and rest up in the tiny little mountain village of Wind Gap Refuge, they decided to stay in the monastery where they could rest and eat for free as long as they were willing to help with chores and follow the rules. But down in the village, a local issue was that mobsters from the Corvid conspiracy had come in from Pinehorn and had plans that had so far entailed including trade and trading for things that would not normally be on the caravan from Pinehorn, but obviously had additional plans in development. But then Pruitt, the crow, who was in charge of this operation, was found dead, and his Blue Jay bodyguard, Rhodia, is pissed. And so now you have to try to solve this mystery. You've discovered a number of things already. For one...
Oh, we don't have to solve it.
Well, no, certainly
We
don't.
could
You
figure out a way to
just...
frame Rhodia, and that would be just fine.
I was going to say you could just run into the woods and it would just disappear. And...
Well, we don't want to make that a pattern.
But certainly, we have a situation where you have found a secret tunnel from the bottom of the well in the center of town that leads up into this monastery. Mm-hmm. And that is where we currently find our vagabonds in various places. One, we have Arbon and Clem and Rhodia down in this tunnel at the base of a set of stairs that they believe leads upward into the monastery. And this is a long set of stairs. It would take several minutes at best to climb them. And they're listening because they just made a bunch of noise and are hoping that will send their suspect down the stairs to investigate. Meanwhile, at the top of the stairs is Lancelot Vent, who has decided to investigate these stairs and is listening to see if anyone might be coming up them.
Right, because his thought is that if he got really lucky and reached there ahead of the murderer, that maybe they'd be coming up the stairs, but it's clear not. So he's going to be doing something.
It seems you don't know where the murderer would be, but it does seem, based on Nigel's questioning of Jovan the rabbit astronomer, that the timing of this murder seems to have been somewhere in the neighborhood of half an hour before you were all alerted to it. And so that would suggest that the murderer may have had time, if they did flee through the tunnel, they may have had time to get where they're going before you arrived. But in the meantime, we have Nigel, who is currently listening at the door of one of the dormitories where Braden, the head monk at this monastery, is questioning Ulvid, yes, who is is the newest recruit at this monastery, and you haven't heard a lot of specific detail except that Braden seems to know or to think that Ulvid knows something. Ulvid is denying it. Where did we? And then Peppa has just found herself in the unique position of, under the guise of helping to move Pruitt's body off the street and to the house where he had been staying with Rhodia, renting it from a local. You are now in a position of possibility of searching this house. So,
Yes, so it seems. So it seems.
as we finished with the last session, we had the 24 style montage. But let's go ahead and start with Peppa's investigation. What is the idea here? So you have just, with Irma's help, dragged Pruitt's body into this house. She, I think, is a little bit uncertain what is meant to happen next. You kind of showed the initiative. What do you say to her? Do you encourage her to stay and assist, or what are you thinking?
No, I think it's getting really late, and it. I mean, I know you're very busy. I think I might take a look around a little bit just to see if I can see anything out of the ordinary. But other than that, I'll just head back up to the monastery after I lock up here. If that's all right.
Yeah, that's all right. I just want to go ahead and say though that you already said you're going to take responsibility for moving Pruitt's body when Rhodia finds out and gets mad. So I would just as soon not be caught in her house where she's staying. So I think I will go ahead and skedaddle. And if you want my advice, I would say to not be here when she gets back.
Well, we'll see what happens.
All right then.
But don't worry about it. You helped me out. It was all my idea. We done.
Well, I'm going to do what you're saying, and I understand you are an adult and responsible for your own actions, but what you're saying right now is a little bit like someone who's saying, I'm going to plunge this dagger into my stomach, but I know how to do it right, so don't worry about it.
Well, I do know how to do it right, so it's fine.
All right. She kind of takes a few steps away and looks back. Is a little bit like, okay.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine.
So
I don't really plan to be there when Rhodia gets back anyway, but
you have no idea when that's going to be.
Yep. So while the iron is hot,
What you doing?
I want to look for correspondence first of all. Letters, diaries. I also want to look for stuff that's out of place. Yeah, your southern accent for her is bringing out my southern accent. So I apologize to any listeners for the broad southernisms. I want to look for something that's out of place, for something that maybe they shouldn't have. The stuff that Nigel and I found um,
Well,
in the
so
trading point seems to indicate that maybe they've been bumping off travelers.
something that I want to, I guess, inquire about because this is a move you took on your character sheet. Um, are you stealing stuff or are you just looking for clues? Because you did take a move called loot and plunder.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of looting the place.
Yeah? Okay. So, with your move, when you loot a rich area for valuables, roll with finesse.
All right. That is an 8.
Okay, so on a 7 to 9, you're choosing one of the from the list here. You can choose that it's worth a lot of money. It is of special value to a particular faction, or it is extremely durable. And those mechanically, you would have something that's worth like 2 value or 4 prestige if you trade it to the right faction, or something that would have a box of ware that you could mark.
I think something of particular value
Okay.
to a particular special value to a particular faction.
Which faction are you? Are you, or well, you know what? How about this? You don't get to pick. I'll
Yeah,
um,
no, I would assume that would be a GM call.
sure. I think that you find one of the things that you find as you're so the first thing you discover though as you're looking through is that there are not nearly as many documents as you might have expected, but then it does occur to you that there was you know some of the stories that you've heard about this particular faction is that they don't encourage you to take notes on the criminal conspiracy,
Right.
um, because it could be incriminating. Um,
Right.
but what you do find as part of what you're looking through um, is that there is what looks like a painting that your keen eye spots. There's a little bit of a bulge in the back, like where it's. I guess it's probably just in the canvas. There's something tucked there, and you look and you find what appears to be a timetable of deliveries in Pinehorn that would suggest that these are smuggling drops. And you know that since the Riverfolk conspiracy, these are along a coastal location. So you would think that the Riverfolk company doesn't want people to smuggle because that's their livelihood. So they would certainly be interested in the location of smuggling drops and times and places so they could intercede.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're also just you're finding a couple of really just cryptic short messages that are just things like Vost 3 days or Pinehorn says no and that sort of thing. So like it's a lot of stuff that you would probably need more information to glean. But this little timetables that I got, you can write it down that you believe that you would definitely get some prestige from the Riverfolk Company if you were to deliver that to them.
Okay.
But so as far as like you're finding that they have here. They have just sort of ordinary stuff. First of all, there's a lot of stuff that looks like it probably just belongs to the guy who lives in this house usually.
Right.
But then you just find other just sort of traveling gear for Rhodia and Pruitt. But
Mm-hmm.
if they had a lot of like cargo and stuff, they don't seem to have that here, and they also like there just doesn't seem to be as much here as you would have expected. There's a couple of things here and there, but it would be bulky to transport. Like I said, there are some paintings and some boxes of. Let's see. Help me out, everyone. There's a crate full of somethings. Not outrageous stuff.
Shoes.
Just juice. Is that what you said?
Shoes.
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 Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There's a there's a crate full of shoes that look like perhaps they are shoes that were created with the intention of being not quite hiking boots necessarily, but a little bit more like ankle support and tread than designs that they thought would maybe sell up here. So, what were you? Yeah, I think unfortunately you're not finding as much in the way of like all the correspondence seems to have been in cryptic codes,
Right.
or and not even so much code as much as just like they keep it very simple and they don't mention stuff. Like it relies on you already knowing what they're talking about.
Right. Um, I think that's pretty much it. So,
You do find a box of Pruitt's cigars.
I'll put them on his chest so that he can be buried with them,
All right.
and then I'll leave.
So that is taking place during, as we rewind back to what everyone else is doing. That search takes some time. So I think Rhodia, Arbin, and Clem. Rhodia had agreed to not charge up the stairs immediately, only on the condition that you would wait no more than 10 minutes, because if someone was coming down the stairs, they would arrive before then.
Right.
And so while you wait for 10 minutes, what are you doing? Are you having a conversation, or are you doing anything? Because you're in this little storeroom that seems to be a whole bunch of reclaimed or confiscated weapons that have been sitting here for some time.
Right. Last session, I was looking through those weapons and trying to determine stuff about them, and I think I covered those bases pretty thoroughly.
Yeah.
So basically, just looking up the stairs and watching and waiting nervously, almost nervously, as that's like with anticipation, like, come on, if you can come down, hear the noise, come down, and get it over with.
So
And hoping that Rhodia doesn't go charging up, because
she doesn't, but one of the things that she does do during this time is that although she already has a nasty looking knife that she had on her already, she does find what she seems to feel is the current best repaired short sword. She gives that a couple of trial swings and then kind of tucks that into her belt.
Clem, kind of looking around, looks at Arvin and Rhoda, and is like, if the monastery has been a non-violent, or on the surface non-violent entity, how long have they been here in this town? Because it seems like this gear and this equipment has been left here for some time.
it's accumulated over a fair amount of time. I think we established that last time, GM.
Yeah, and for that matter, the monastery has been there for like, we're not talking about centuries, but we are talking about decades.
Yeah, so I'll tell Clem that. So yeah, decades. They've been putting stuff
Has
here.
has there been a change in leadership since you've been here? Or has the head monk always been who is the current?
Brendan?
Braden.
Braden, thank you. No, Braden was here when I came here,
But that was only a year ago.
but that was only like a year ago. So I didn't inquire how long he was there. I'm not the reporter type. I was trying to run away from the Empire at the time, so I wasn't exactly asking a lot of pointed questions.
Rhodia, as she's swinging this short sword around, says, "You know, to be honest with you, finding this actually makes me feel a little better because honestly, this whole nonviolent thing that they're talking about, sounds weird to me. Sounds fishy. This all down here, they're keeping a reserve. That makes more sense to me."
So
If that would
as
have
long
if that would have peace, be prepared for war.
Did you just make that up? That's really good. I like that.
I cannot claim to have made it up. I read it in a book.
Yeah.
As did the player.
Still a good pull.
You should have taken credit for it. I wouldn't have known.
Any chance I can hear this conversation at the top of the stairs? Or at least voices?
Well, so I was just going to cut back up to you because you at the very top of the stairs were listening down, and I think we have to think about like the realistic physics of this. If we're imagining a relatively tight stone staircase that would take 10 minutes to climb, I don't know if you would hear a soft conversation from the bottom.
Well, it didn't sound like it was that soft, but okay. If they're speaking softly, then I'm fine with it.
Well, they are also, in theory, waiting for someone to come down. So I don't think that they're being.
Yeah, we're not.
I think that they are not successfully whispering or anything, but they're.
Right. All right. Well, if I can't hear anything, and it doesn't look like anybody's coming up the stairs, then I am going to. Geez. I'm going to see if I can find Nigel.
Okay. So, meanwhile, Nigel, you were listening at the door here, and I think that you are, you've already heard, as I mentioned, Braden is somewhat angrily questioning Ulvid. Ulvid so far has denied it. He says he was asleep. He woke up when he heard the shouting just like everyone else. He doesn't know what happened. Braden is skeptical, and that's kind of the conversation you've heard so far. How long do you stick around right there outside the door? Do you keep listening?
I think I keep listening until they until start kind of going in a circle on it.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna see if I can find find Faye.
Okay. So I think first of all that the conversation ends a bit more quickly than you expect. So I'm going to ask you to make. You have sneak as a roguish feat. I'm going to ask you to make another one to try to sense. Okay, they seem like they're maybe wrapping it up. I need to not be right outside their door when it opens. So let's try that sneak move and see how it goes.
Ooh, that's a 7.
Okay, so with a 7, you can either mark an exhaustion to ignore any consequences, or hang on, with sneak, there's a chance of breaking something, drawing unwanted attention, or plunging into danger. But remember that this is a success, so you are getting away from the door, so you won't be seen as having been listening right at the door, but something else could happen, or you can mark exhaustion to get away clean.
Oh, do the exhaustion.
Okay. All right, so yeah, I think you move away just and get around the corner just in time to hear Braden leaving the room. So you're you mentioned looking for Faye, but also Braden has just left Alvid's room.
Well, I'll I'll follow Braden since in
Okay.
that in that case,
All
because
right.
I'm not entirely sure where other people
Sure. Yeah.
live.
Yeah. So, as you start to follow Braden again, you do note that the last thing that Braden says through, the doorway as he's leaving before he closes it is, "You stay here. I will take care of it." And then he's going down the hallway some more. So, Lancelot, you are looking for Nigel, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I know the general direction he went,
Mhm.
so I'm just kind of
Okay.
sauntering down that hallway. I'm not trying to be sneaky. I'm not
Okay.
trying to be.
Sure. Um, I think let's have you do a trust fate roll,
Okay.
unless you think you have something else that would cover this. Trying to find Nigel before something else.
Yeah. I mean, I. It's not even. I'm just trying to find out what's going. Nothing was happening where I was, so
Right, but
trusting fate is fine.
but
Trusting
because
fate
you
is
don't
fine.
know where anybody is, there's
Right.
just as good a chance that you run into Braden or someone else before you
Yeah.
find
No.
Nigel, right? So,
Right. So let's roll the and find out what happens. I rolled a 12 and I have plus 2 luck, so that's 14.
okay, yeah. So I think you come around a corner and you see Nigel's butt as he's kind of crouched down, looking around the corner. Um,
Um, I'm going to make a very quiet noise. Hey, Nigel.
yeah.
You're such a Scooby Gang.
So Nigel, I think you would hear that.
Yeah, and I look back and I just keep following because
Okay. So I think Nigel. So as Nigel is following, I'm still using his previous sneak roll, but Lancelot, as you discern that Nigel is still attempting to stealthily follow someone, I don't think you can even tell who from here, although you could probably guess. How,
um,
how do you choose to act?
hmm. Well, Nigel clearly wants to keep following this person.
Hmm.
So I'm going to let him do that.
Okay.
Yeah. And geez, I have no idea what I want to be doing.
I would I be able to just say like whisper to him find Ovid.
I mean,
Find
yeah.
Ovid.
I mean, you can do that, but I think you will probably need to make another sneak roll if you want to be able to say something and keep up with Braden, who's not waiting for you, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Ooh, another 7.
Okay. So I think that at this point, you once again can either mark exhaustion to keep up, or you are either going to break something, draw unwanted attention, or plunge into danger.
I think I'll choose the consequence this time.
Okay. Yeah, I think that um, you have had to hurry up a little bit to keep up with where Braden is going as he is kind of making his way through the halls. Um, and I think as you kind of turn around to give your whispered instruction to Lancelot, you had paused just a moment, and then as you kind of start looking back to face forward again, the door that's just to your right has just opened, and you see a monk there in his robes holding like just an empty cup, and he just is like startled to see you there. And, uh,
Sorry.
let's say this is a rabbit by the name of Helma. that you have met briefly, but have not really become acquainted with otherwise. But they see you creeping through the hallway. Uh, hello, Nigel, was it?
Yes,
Yes.
Nigel, I'm Lancelot, and I'm going to kind of run cover
Okay, yeah, yeah.
start try and attract their attention.
Sure, sure.
Um, uh, uh, and it's like, oh, midnight cup of water. Yes, I've been out for the same thing myself, but I seem to have forgotten my cup. Here, I can get one in the kitchen, right? And kind of
Mm-hmm.
try and
Mm-hmm.
cover for Nigel by distracting this person.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. So I think that you have a couple of moves that could potentially be. I mean, obviously, trick an NPC could work, but you have also, it's not charm offensive, but pleasant facade could work.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to use trick and NPC
Okay. So that's a
um,
roll with cunning, I believe.
with cunning. Okay.
Trick an NPC. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right, and that is I rolled a 7 plus 2 is 9.
Okay. So I think. Sorry, I have too many different screens to look through. Yeah, so trick an NPC, you rolled with cunning, and on a 7 to 9, I think that you are, at the very least, you have their attention enough that Nigel can continue following Braden.
Right. That's what I had in mind. Yes.
Right.
And I'm gonna.
But so you're their focus now, and
Yep.
they, let's see, so Nigel gets away. He's still following Braden, but this person is not persuaded by your attempt at saying it was like a glass of water. Is just like, I what are you doing out and about? I thought that Braden told us all to go to bed and not be wandering the halls tonight. Maybe we ought to look. If you're creeping around, there's a lot weird going on right now.
Oh yeah, there is. There absolutely is. Yeah, maybe we ought to get everyone together and sort it out.
Well, you know what? You don't get to make that call. Maybe we ought to
Uh-huh.
just. You know what? I maybe I ought to find Braden and just tell him that you're creeping around like this.
Oh, I don't think that's necessary. Um,
In the meantime, I think she said, "Wait, where'd your friend go anyway?" And Nigel has made his way off following Braden. Braden, incidentally, Nigel, seems to be heading back out to the front gate of the monastery. Like he's leaving.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Are you
So,
gonna follow
I-
him out the front door?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep following.
Okay. All right. So yeah, this Helma is uh, perturbed and thinks you're being suspicious, Lancelot.
um, well, if you want to talk to Braden about it, that's fine. Let's go find him.
Now it's looking at you like, wait a minute, you trying to reverse psychology me?
Would I do that? I mean, we've been here, several days. We're just a bunch of travelers, you know. We haven't got any ulterior motives, or we would have been up to something before now. God.
Look, the thing is, I got up because I actually really have to pee, and I do still have to pee, and I'm going to go do that. But you should go back to your room, or you should leave. And either way, in the morning, I'm going to tell Braden you were creeping around.
Okay, that's fair.
And they
I wouldn't expect you to do any less.
no, they are already hurrying down the hall.
Yes. Yeah. At this point, I do know that that Arbin and Clem are in the tunnel.
Well, let's see. Do you? Because I think
I saw them go down the well. I was pretty sure that there was a
you saw
tunnel
Clem
there.
go down the well. You guessed
Yeah.
that there was probably a tunnel, and you might be right, but I don't think you knew that Arbin and
Yeah.
Rhodia followed.
No.
But yeah, so go. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to
I'm
interrupt
trying to
you.
stay in character with
Mhm.
what I know and what I would do.
Right.
Yeah, I think I still need to be.
Well, so remember that Nigel told you to find Alvin.
That's true. Yeah, all right. I'll see if I can. If I know where Elvid's room is, I'll head there.
Okay. Yeah. You can you figure that out.
Okay.
All right. In the meantime, Nigel, you're following Braden out the front.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I think in the dark it's going to be easier to continue following unseen, so there's not another roll required, but he does basically seem to be heading down towards the town.
Okay.
Interesting.
Um, the
This is changing from a mystery to a farce.
in the meantime, speaking of which, Rhodia it has been pacing back and forth and then just says, "All right, that's long enough. We're going up." And she starts charging up the stairs.
With a sigh, I'll look at Clem saying, we better keep her from killing somebody.
And Clem just goes, I hope there's no unsuspecting people peeling potatoes.
Yeah. But I'll go second. I know Clem is slower than I am, but I'm going to go second, try to catch up, get onto Rhodia's heels as best I can. It's a pity he can't fly up this thing. You already stated we can't.
She is very irritated to that effect as well. That it is too cramped, and this narrow spiral staircase that just goes up and up and up and up. And the ceiling is too high, and it's too tight a curve. You'd get very dizzy trying to fly. In any case, though, as you're making your way up, Lancelot, you go to find Olvid's room.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Make a trust fate roll.
Okay. I rolled a 7 plus 2 is 9.
Okay. So with a 7, let's see. Rather 7 to 9. With trust fate, it costs you. So I think here's what happens. Is that you get turned around a little bit, and so you remember how to get there sort of belatedly, and it takes you a point of exhaustion to kind of hurry back over to where you remembered that it is.
Okay.
But you manage to arrive because of your hurry just in time to see that Faye is now standing with Ulvid at the threshold to his room, and they were clearly having some kind of an intense whispered conversation before they both look over at you, and there's a very clear moment of, "Oh no," and then Faye kind of gesturing him back into the room, and then she says, "Lancelot, what are you doing awake?"
I could ask the same of you. I would like to read a tense situation.
Okay.
Or no, I would like to read.
Yeah. So figure someone out is
Figure someone out. Yeah, I
want
to figure. I want to figure her out.
Yeah. So that's roll with charm.
Right. Okay, rolled another 7 plus 2 is 9.
Okay, so that means you have one hold to ask questions of the nature: is your character telling the truth? What is your character really feeling? What does your character intend to do? What does your character wish I would do? How could I get your character to blank? And so she has kind of started down the hall towards you, and gestured to Ulvid to like stay inside his room, and she's just coming down. Is like, so I just obviously there's been a lot of activity, and I just making sure everything's okay. Ulvid is a little nervous at the best of times, and I wanted to make sure he wasn't too stressed out, and I just, it's a little alarming, um, all of this going on. So what did you say you were doing?
Well, as you may have heard, uh, because what all this chaos is about is that there was a murder down in the town, and Pruitt, the raven there, he's a raven, right?
He was a crow.
Crow. Yeah, Pruitt got shot with a crossbow, um, and it um, occurs to me that one of the only places that a crossbow might be found is the weapon keeper of the monastery. So I wanted to let I wanted to let Ulvid know that people might be coming around to ask questions of him. Um, Now, I am no big fan of Pruitt. I think he was of a bastard of the First Order, and so I'm not. I'm just plain happy to see him dead. But there are people who are going to come looking around, and I wanted to let Ulvid know that there was something going on. So um, it sounds to me like he may have already heard, and I want to use that hold
Okay.
to let's see. Let me look at my questions again. Um,
Yeah. So is your character telling the truth? What is your character really feeling?
yeah.
What do they intend to do? What do they want you to do? How could you get the character to blank?
So yeah, I'm trying not to jump the gun too much as a
Hmm.
player on this with stuff that I don't know. Um,
Yeah, because like it's tricky because Lancelot doesn't know about the weapon cache in the tunnel.
right, but he does know that weapons do exist in the monastery
Yeah,
somewhere,
it's true.
um, and that, like I said, Elvid would be the logical person here.
Hmm.
I'm trying.
He
I'm trying to fit things together for
right.
this.
Um,
Anyways,
one clarification that doesn't really
uh,
change anything dramatic, but the Alvid is not like the weapon keeper. He's more like, here, carry this.
oh,
So
okay.
when he took your weapons and stuff to go lock it up, it's not because he's the weapon keeper. It's because he's the guy
Oh
who
well.
carries stuff. That sort of
Okay.
thing.
Well, in any case, he
Yeah,
has access. He has access.
potentially for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so let me modify things just a little bit
Okay.
and
Okay.
tell Faye, um, Elvid and anybody else who has access to wherever it is you store the weapons that you keep, um, probably needs to figure out what the story is going to be, because somebody's coming, probably probably going to be coming up here, because crossbow isn't exactly the kind of thing that everybody just carries around.
Hmm.
Um, and I want to use the hold for what
Uh
does
huh.
your character wish I would do?
Okay. Um, First of all, I think that as you're saying all of this, but especially when you start getting talking to like get the story right because somebody's coming. There's just like the big smile, but eyes getting ever so gradually wider and wider. The big rabbit ears kind of folding back with alarm, but just still kind of. Um, so, what does she wish you would do? I think you get the impression from her that she is terrified you are going to attract attention to her and Ulvid, and she wants you to go away.
Okay. Um, I have an idea. Why don't we go to where the weapons are kept and make sure there's no crossbows there? Because if there's no crossbows in that area, then there won't be any evidence of someone here being involved.
Uh, I mean, I think it's a little. I'm not sure. Braden said he wanted us to just sit tight. I'm. I mean, I guess I could take you over and we could look in there, but I mean, there are no crossbows in there. You'll see. You'll see.
Well, that's good. That's good. If there's no crossbows, then that will certainly help you guys avoid scrutiny. So I'll go with Faye wherever she leads.
Okay. I think there's, Ulvid kind of glances out into the hallway at her and she gives him like a go back in your room gesture. And then she does lead you down to like that weapons lockup area. She does have to stop by Braden's office and grab the key off of his desk, which she is certainly able to do, but does.
Okay.
And takes you to the lockup, which is not a big room. It's really more like a closet. It's not like there's constantly
Right.
whole platoons staying at the monastery. But she does open it up for you. As she's walking through there, she's just looking at you and you're saying, you think that someone might think that someone here in the monastery had something to do with it?
Well, so here's my thought. When we were looking at Pruitt's body, he'd been shot right up under here with a crossbow bolt. Now, Pruitt did not strike me as the kind of guy who spent a lot of time looking at the sky. So he had to have been shot from below. And the only below where he was is the well. And I'm like, wells underground. Monasteries usually have bolt holes. I'll bet there's a tunnel between them. Now, I don't know that for certain. I have suspicions, but what I think happened is somebody was in the well and shot him from below. And I would really like to see that person escape justice.
What do you mean escape justice?
Well, Pruitt is an ass. He's a terrible person. Okay? The Corvid conspiracy, I don't know if you're aware, but the Corvid conspiracy are not good people. Okay? His movement in this town, in this clearing, does not bode well for ordinary folks like you. It just doesn't go well. And
Ordinary, what do you mean ordinary folks like me?
well, just people who just mind their business, do their stuff, live in town. They're peaceful and mind that aren't like these grand plots to infiltrate and take over and all this kind of stuff that happens in all these clearings. Like folks like Pruitt who are in this, network. It's, you're not plotting anything over here. You just have this monastery, right? So, I don't want to see the monastery get in trouble for having off this guy.
So tell me if you think that this is a roundabout Persuade an NPC.
I think I'm trying to get in good with her. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, do you have some other move that you think this should be instead, or like so like right now it's you're trying to get in good with her, but like she's clearly
I'm
still.
trying to convince her that I'm, that I'm on her side.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think let's call that a Persuade an NPC.
Yeah.
Which is roll with charm.
Right. Okay. Unfortunately, I rolled a 4, so that's a total
Okay.
of 6. So she's
Yeah. So I think you certainly had gotten a little bit of a glimpse that she's scared.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
and I think that as you're kind of saying all of this, you're kind of hoping that this is all kind of like persuading that you're on her side and everything. But there's a moment where it seems like it's working, and then all of a sudden it's like she kind of just stops and then is looking at you a little bit more suspiciously. And now it's like a door has closed. She's looking at you like you're trying to get in good with me. Why? That sort of thing, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So she is looking, and she's holding the key, and she's saying, maybe it's actually better if we just wait for Braden to get back. I think that I'll just hang on to this for right now, and if someone comes looking, they'll know that we haven't been in there, and Braden can take control of the situation just like he said he would, and maybe you ought to just go back to your room.
Um. All right. That's fine. I'll leave her there.
Mhm.
Um. And
I
I'm going to.
So I think you are whatever you were about to do is interrupted at this point because um, Rhodia, having charged up the stairs a little faster than like she's a little out of breath, but she's gotten up there and she's frustrated to find herself just in a very small little room, and she kind of thrashes around until she finds the latch to the door, opens it, finds herself in the pantry, and has charged out and is looking around. She is not being quiet or stealthy or anything, and that she's just looking around. Yeah, this is definitely the monastery. I knew it. And she, I think,
Can
goes
I?
out into
Can
the
I hear
hallway.
this?
Yeah, no,
Can I
you're
hear this?
definitely going to hear, as she is at this point,
Yeah.
starting to say, um, all right, you monks, I know that one of you killed Pruitt, and I'm going to find out who did it. If you don't confess, I'm going to just start persuading people to confess. Because
Oh,
I know now you snuck up here through that little tunnel. So one of you better just fess up right now, or it's going to be bad.
this
And I'm
this
gonna.
is yeah. This is when I try to shut up Rhodia.
Okay,
Well,
so what do
can
you
I?
mean?
Can I hear this?
Yeah, you can certainly hear it, but I would say you're like a little ways away. But you can. She's
Right.
shouting.
Okay. I'm gonna tell her. Does this sound like a good time to be unarmed?
Um, she runs away from you.
Is she running? Is she running in the direction of the weapons closet?
No, she's running in the direction of Ulvid's room.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. All right. Um. This is gonna be bad. I am going to use my. Uh. Oh wait. You know what? Yes, my weapon skill. Improvise a weapon.
Okay.
Um. Uh.
Yeah. So this is
Um. So I'm going to roll on cunning. Um. And and I'm just I assume that we're somewhere. I'm not sure what I don't if we're in an empty hallway, that might be a difficult thing to do.
I would
But
imagine that there are like those really tall candelabra things like that has a candle on it, but it's like on a lamp, a floor lamp size
uh-huh.
stand. I would imagine there's some of
Okay.
those. If you feel like you want to maybe
All
try
right.
to grab one of those and see if you can wield it like a staff.
Okay. And unfortunately, I rolled a 6. So
Okay. Yeah, I think.
I didn't find anything useful.
Yeah, I think there's a moment where you go to just like pick it up to see if like, hey, can I use this as a staff? And there's just this moment where you go, oh, it's really heavy. Oh boy, no, that would you like even trying to go anywhere with this would be like dragging the heavy base along the floor, like, and so that's yeah,
All right.
it's far
Well,
sturdier than you expected.
okay. So go to somebody else.
But in the meantime, Arbin, when you say "shut up, Rhodia," what do you mean?
I mean, grabbing her beak and keeping her from her shouting diatribe and trying to
Oh boy, you know what
physically,
that
yes.
means. This is you are trying to grapple an enemy. This is we have not used the grappling rules yet.
No, this is here we
Um,
go.
To be clear, too, she has the short sword out. Like it's
Yeah.
like she's so in grapple an enemy. You're gonna roll with might, and on a hit, you choose an option simultaneously with your opponent. And so this is a little slightly different rules compared to other combat. But you go ahead and roll with might.
All right, here we go. That would be a 10.
Okay, so on a 10, you get to choose one choice first before you are going to each choose one thing. And the list of things to choose from is you strike a fast blow, inflict injury. You wear them down, they mark exhaustion. You exploit weakness, mark exhaustion to inflict 2 injury, or you withdraw, disengage to close range. And so basically, yeah, so you get to choose one of those to happen first before she can do anything else.
I will mark exhaustion. I'm not trying to kill her, but
Okay.
I'm gonna try to wear her down.
Okay, so bearing in mind, I think what actually attacking unarmed does 1 exhaustion harm is all you can do. Um, and so you can't do injury harm to her right now.
Okay.
He didn't want to.
Yeah,
Right.
so I'll just so I get I'll just do exhaustion harm anyway. So
Okay, so I think that she is actually going to mark a box of wear rather than so you're marking exhaustion to do 2, right?
yeah.
So I think she's going to actually take both of those in wear as you sort of grab at her, sort of like you grab her shoulder to try to, like what, just like grab her beak, or like
Yeah. Basically, you're basically trying to get her quiet down. So.
okay. Then she is going to. So I think as she sort of jerks away from you, you basically like the fastenings of her sort of leather armor vest tear, and it kind of flops off of her, and so she's no longer wearing that. But now you are both going to choose again. Like you choose from that list, but she's also choosing, and the things happen at the same time. So
Yeah, I will go with wear them down. I'm not going to mark exhaustion. So I will just go with the second one. Wear them down. They mark exhaustion. So I'll do
Okay.
1 exhaustion harm.
all right. So she's going to take 1 exhaustion, but she is also going to do the same to you. She is going to force you to mark exhaustion as you. So describe this narratively. Like, what are you doing to mark exhaustion here? Like, are you punching her? Are you just trying to?
Trying to bind her, grab her arms, grab her head, and it's a lot of effort because she's a big burly blue jay.
Well, and
so,
she's fighting back.
and
I
she's
think
fighting with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
she's
we're kind
punching
of like
you,
a bird tumble here.
Yeah. So so she is, now that you have assaulted her, she is fighting back, and I think she is about now to well, let's see. Yeah, I think that she's got her sword out. You know what? In fact, actually, I think I take it back when I said she had marked exhaustion, because she had her sword out, and you just grabbed her.
Yeah.
I think she does do injury against you.
Hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
It's my understanding in the system that
Mm-hmm.
any individual weapon, unless it's got a tag for it, has a range,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
that and right now they're at intimate range,
Mm-hmm.
and a sword can't be used at intimate range. It has to be
Well,
at
so
close
bear
range.
in mind that that there's rules for PCs and NPCs are a little looser.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Okay. Yep.
So,
So she
well,
Thank you.
you know
so
what?
instead of
How
wearing me
about
down,
this?
she
How about
slashes at
this?
me.
To make that, she's also got her knife.
Okay.
And so I think that the knife certainly, uh,
There's no knife certainly can slash at me. So
Yeah.
she doesn't wear me down, but yeah, she draws blood instead.
yeah. And I think she is looking at you with fury, and so you're neither of you disengaged on that. So you are
Nope.
going to roll grapple an enemy again.
All right, here we go. That's a 9.
All right. So with a 9, you are basically. Uh, let's see. I think.
I'm gonna hit and choose simultaneously, so I don't get to pick first.
Right, right. And I was just double checking, like, because you didn't miss, but I was trying to remember if what happens when you miss is that they do their thing without you getting to do one. Yeah. So basically, she is. Yeah. So both of these are going to happen again. So you are once again.
I will do exhaustion harm on her. Wear her
Okay.
down.
Okay. She looks like she is, getting worn down in that regard. Um, so the uh, we got activity in the chat discussing the rules, and I think that's cool. This is our first engagement with the grappling. So you're doing exhaustion again. She definitely looks like she is. She is getting tired. I think, yeah. I think she is going to, yeah, she's going to do injury again, but this time she's looking at you and just saying, I knew I was a fool to trust you.
You're doing this the wrong way. Shouting in this monastery will not find you Pruitt's killer. Stop this. You're being stupid.
That'll
You
convince
can,
her.
yeah, so you can roll persuade an NPC, roll with charm.
My charm is not great, but I'll give it a shot.
Clearly.
Oh, I rolled a whopping 4.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah,
The
no,
rodent is not the charmer of this group, guys.
yeah.
Ever.
No, so, and in fact, I think that you take a moment to try to talk to her, and she takes the opportunity to pop you in the nose with the closed fist, and you're going to take one additional exhaustion harm.
Okay.
So, Clem, I don't think you were too far behind. What are you doing? You're in a relatively narrow hallway, though.
So when so when Clem emerges and sees this just shenanigans to best describe,
Shenanigans.
there's a oh my, what on earth? Seriously? We're in the middle of the monastery. A person was murdered. We are outnumbered, and you two are squabbling like children. Serious.
I think that your impression of her at this time is that she is not open to reasonable arguments.
Yeah.
I would like to try convince an NPC.
Okay,
And he
well,
goes,
so I
because I'm inferring from her actions and how passionate she is about this.
all right. So what I will
Clem may make an ass.
what I'm going to say is that because Arbin just tried this and got a miss, if you want to persuade an NPC as a role, you're going to need a different approach here because
It,
she feels see her impression right now is the people she thought were helping her have betrayed her and are fighting her now.
right,
So,
right. And so Clem wants to approach this and
mhm,
say, because the name of the guy who that's Pruitt, right?
mhm.
Okay. Honest, I can tell from the way you're acting, you and Pruitt were more than just friends. But Pruitt was also cunning. Do you honestly think Pruitt would run in here guns blazing without a plan and risk you and figuring out what's going on?
Oh yeah,
Obviously, if someone
yeah.
obviously if someone is willing to kill him, they know how well he plans and how smart he is. Also, Arbin,
So I'm going to cut
nobody's
you off
down.
just because I don't think you would have had time
Okay.
to say all of this.
Yeah,
But
yeah, 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 yeah.
but at the same time, I do think that approach is enough of a different tact that you can try making your move, the persuade an NPC.
I am not good at charm. So it's a straight roll. Let's hope for
Hmm.
the best. Okay, nice. That is a 9.
Okay, okay. So on a 7 to 9, they aren't sure. Um, I think that I think so. Arbin, you tell me if she like what are you? Are you still struggling with her, or are you also like when you made your last entreaty? Were you more
I
like
yeah,
okay
yeah, I was kind of
because
like
you
backing
did
off.
so the next
Or
grapple roll you could have always chosen disengage when with
right.
your move, right? And she can't like stop you from doing that if you get to make your move to do it, right?
Right.
But I think at this point you are still struggling with her until she's hearing about Pruitt, and so I think that there's just a moment where, yeah, okay. I think what just happens is there is enough of a chance, like she hesitates just enough hearing that from Clem, that I think Arbin, you can take the opportunity to do one of those grapple moves.
I will disengage.
Okay.
I was just trying to get her to shut up, after all. I wasn't
Okay.
trying to subdue her.
All right. Yeah. She's got her knife in her hand, and I think she picks up the short sword as well. She's breathing hard, looking between the two of you, just a little wild-eyed, and just saying, "What the hell did she attack me for?"
Because you're going to bring the entire monastery down on us. And as my friend Clem says, this is not the way to find Pruitt's murderer. This will get us nothing. In fact, if his murderer is here and hears this, they'll bolt or run and we'll never find him or her.
You know what? If they run, then we'll know who it is.
Do you know all the monks here? I don't. You don't.
There are
And Clem-
definitely people like peeking at you from the ends of these hallways too at this point because it's been a little while. Lancelot, you what were you doing when you had heard all the commotion? Because you're hearing like
Um,
probably all of this.
yeah. Uh, damn, I wish I had that key. I'm following Faye. I'm following Faye.
Okay, okay.
With
Are
a
you
quick
trying to
shuffle.
follow her without being seen?
No, I'm might as well be chasing her.
Okay, well, she definitely runs from you if she detects that you're following her.
Yeah, well, she's got that key.
Yeah.
uh, and I also, if she's running towards Olvid, then I want to be there to help defend him if Rhodia
Okay. Well, so
gets in that direction. So
unless you're trying to actually chase her down like with a tackle, she's going to
No.
get into Ulvid's room and slam the door closed as
Okay.
as you're catching up. And I think you hear the click of a lock as she's. Actually, you know what? You don't hear the click of a lock. I think these doors don't have locks.
Yeah,
But what you
right.
hear is the sound of a bed frame being scraped across the floor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're safe at least, for now at least. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. Then I'm gonna go back towards the commotion and yeah, I'm headed back towards the commotion.
Okay. I think as you arrive seeing a little cluster of monks at one end of the hallway, and as you kind of lean around, like trying to peek up or look past them, you see, Rhodia facing off, breathing hard, facing off with Arbin and Clem, who seem like they're trying to get her to calm down.
Oh
Who,
no!
who is? I would like to make a read a tense situation.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's an excellent. This would definitely be a tense situation.
Uh,
Oh no!
I rolled an 8 plus 2 is 10.
Okay. Yeah.
And and it's like, okay, I want to use the who is in control here
Okay.
to figure out which of the monks that are watching on is like the one who would have the most authority, who is in the most control of the monks. Because I know that Rhodia and all that, I want to discount them.
I'm torn because before you asked that, I was really kind of inclined to think of all of them as people who came to live here because they liked the idea of a peaceful, nonviolent life where nothing much happens appealed to them, and now someone is swinging a knife and shouting in the middle of the night in their home, and they are scared. I think you do meet the eyes of a mouse, like a mouse man, who is kind of in your own little cluster. Who of all of the people just watching, he's the one that looks mad rather than scared.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You met him. His name is Cloak.
Okay. Somebody write that down. I'm going to kind of call him out in specific, but I'm really talking to everybody and say, sometimes if you want to have a peaceful life, you have to use force to get rid of a disruptive element. If we all rush in there, we can subdue this intruder.
One thing that I will just point out, because I think it's easy to forget this, is y'all are vagabonds and have more injury boxes. So if all of these monks rush Rhodia, eventually the group could take her out, but it's very likely that she would kill someone in the process.
That's why I'm going in first. That's why I'm charging at him, saying I'm going to say this and then charge in, and hope that they've got my back.
All right. Well, Arbin and Clem had just gotten her to at least stop struggling. And then all of a sudden, from the other end of the hallway, Lancelot is charging in. So, Lancelot, please engage in melee.
Engage in melee.
That is roll with might.
Yeah, I ain't got that, but I rolled a 7, so I got a hit.
Okay, so on a 7 to 9, you can choose to inflict serious harm, which is to do +1, suffer little harm to do, where you take 1 less than you would. you can shift your range one step, which I mean would be like if you wanted to back off again or something like that, or
No,
impress,
yeah.
dismay, or frighten your foe, which you could
I'm
do. Although she seems like she's pretty wild-eyed. I don't know if there's.
I'm inflicting serious harm.
Okay, so technically you're only doing exhaustion harm anyway. 'Cause
Oh
you're
yeah,
unarmed.
that's fine. That's
So,
fine.
but so here's what happens: is that you slam into her, and then the two of you slam into the wall, and you see her head thwack hard against the wall, and her eyes just kind of roll back in her head, and she slumps, and your victory smile fades a little bit as you realize you've got her knife in your side.
Oh,
So you take one injury and one exhaustion
Okay.
because she's.
we just got her to stop. Let's
But
watch.
so you are now bleeding, but she has been knocked unconscious.
Well, I'm bleeding too, so it's like
I know.
join the
I'm
party.
just saying. I'm just saying. She seems to have been incapacitated for the moment.
Lancelot, explanation? Why did you knock her out and charge the? And did the monks actually go follow Lancelot into the?
I think Cloak at least seemed to be moving up to have your back, but then as soon as she went down, everyone was like, "Oh, well, okay." I think people are willing to approach a little closer to see if they can tell what's actually happening, but still keeping their distance a little.
Okay.
I'll stagger back, clutching my wound, and say, gotta put her someplace she can be locked up. Yeah. I didn't want her causing any more chaos here.
Neither did we, but we didn't knock her out. I mean, I did start fighting her, but
Yeah.
we weren't going to knock her out.
Uh,
But yes, she did. She was here to start chaos.
yeah.
Oh man.
This will be a lot easier to handle with her unconscious. Now let's
Okay.
take her weapons and get her someplace secure.
Yeah. So yeah, you take this dagger that she's got is what I'm calling a nasty dagger. We can figure out appropriate tags for it in the future, but it's
it's
a
mine
good
now.
dagger.
Lancelot gets the spoils of victory. Spoils of victory.
Yeah. Well, you bled for it. But so
Literally.
here's the thing. I think Cloak comes up to just ask like, what do we need? What do you think we should do? Like, I mean,
Lock her up someplace, maybe even tie her up.
well,
Oh, man.
I mean, the only real we'd have to take the weapons that are in there out, but I mean, I think the only place we could really lock her in is the room where we usually lock up the weapons.
There's no other cells or rooms that have a locked door.
I mean, people are here voluntarily. We're not a prison.
No, but it's not like a
You
locked
know, if that's
closet
the
or
only
something.
place, if that's the only place to do it, then that's where you should do it. Or you can tie her up and have somebody guarding her. But yeah, we need to get Braden back here.
All right. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
so Peppa, you had been searching the house, and as you are kind of emerging from there, I think you kind of look around to see, if like maybe you're. Well, how about this? Go ahead and do a sneak move to see if you're seen leaving the house.
Okay. That's an 8.
Okay. So you can mark exhaustion to avoid any complications, or you could. Whoops. Moving people.
Or you could let Christiana have some fun.
No, I'm going, in this particular instance, I'm going to mark exhaustion.
Okay. All right.
There's
So
a reason I took an extra box of that.
sure. So as you are coming out of the of this this house, and you manage to slip out unseen. Irma knew you were going in there, but nobody sees you coming out. I think you're looking around and you see Braden, the head monk, emerging from the stairs to the monastery and walking into the town square, and he just starts calling, Rhodia, I need to talk to you about Pruitt. I want to confess.
Okay, so I think at that point Peppa will approach Braden and
Oh,
say,
God.
"Hi, Rhodia followed Arbin and Clem down the well."
He looks horrified.
So it's more than likely that whatever, they haven't come out yet, so
He
I don't know where they would have come out.
I think there's a moment where he is questioning whether to say something to you, but then just basically takes off running to go right back up the stairs.
I think in that situation,
Yeah, so you would
Nigel-
have been right behind him, Nigel.
yeah, and Nigel is going to be in his way.
Okay. Yeah, so as he turns around, he's just gonna
Oh.
whoa!
I think you have some explaining to do.
Right now, if that madwoman is in the monastery, that's where I need to be. If you and he tries to
I'm
go
gonna
around you.
try and keep it. Keep in his way.
Okay. I think.
No.
Well, let's see. Unless you have some, I think this would probably just be a trust fate, unless you're. Are you?
I think Peppa would say, "No, Nigel, let him go, because Rhodia was kind of really, really violent and angry, so he's right to be concerned about the monks if she somehow found a way into the monastery from here. If that's what you're thinking, Braden. So yeah, no, let him go.
There would be an explanation, and then just gonna step aside.
Okay. Yeah, he is running back up.
Follow him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he is not waiting for you. He also despite being an older man, he looks like he goes up and down these stairs a lot. So he's moving. He's moving along. But it's also the middle of the night. It's been there's been a lot happening. He's been up the stairs twice already. Yeah. So in any case, I think a bunch of people started to come out again to see something was going to happen. But now he's running right back up the stairs. Peppa and Nigel, you're there.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's just we'll follow him. We'll figure this out. No worries. and she'll start fluttering at Nigel to shoo him back up the stairs.
Right.
Nigel's following.
Yeah. Well, and to be clear too, I want it to be. I hope it's clear that at this point Braden looks terrified. He seemed very calm until you told him that Rhodia had gone to the monastery. Now he's terrified and he's trying to get back there as quickly as he can.
Yeah.
So once again, that's going to take a little while. So
Peppa and Nigel will follow. It's we're getting our steps in today, aren't
right.
we?
So here's the thing that I think, Arbin, Clem, and Lancelot, so Cloak and some of the other monks offer to unlock the weapons closet for you and take the weapons
Faye
out.
has the key.
Well, so do you tell them that?
No, I'm gonna let them find out that the key's missing.
Okay. So I think that is.
I got a knife in me. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
No. Hey, I'm just trying to say how logistically this is going to happen. If you don't volunteer that information, You're going to send them
Yeah,
off to
yeah,
get the key, and they're not going to find it, and then they're going to have to come back and tell you that, right?
yeah, right.
So what? In the meantime, though, uh, I think you have fewer of the monks remaining as bystanders here because some of them have decided like I don't want to be involved in this. Like if the danger is past, I want to be away from this situation.
Right, right, right.
And but some of them are still concerned. At least one of the monks is kind of checking over and looking to like Arbin and Lancelot's wounds.
Oh, thank you.
And they a couple of them hurry to go and try to find some bandages and medical supplies to try to help you out. Um, but and in the so that would be the next little bit unless you are all doing something else.
No, I want to keep watch over. I
Okay.
want to keep watch over Rhodia and stuff.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
get the first
yeah.
aid.
Yeah. So
I honestly don't know if Clem. I honestly don't know if Clem can face palm any harder.
It
Like,
just has
the
gone
way that-
sideways.
The way this is unfolded.
Yeah. So I think at some point, we'll say that Arbin and Lancelot, have each been bandaged up enough to clear one box of injury.
Okay.
I'll take it.
You're still, bandaged, right? Like treat the
Yeah.
frictionally appropriately, but the bleeding has been
Yeah.
stopped. It's been bandaged. It's better in that
Yeah,
regard, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think Cloak returns to say the Braden's key to the weapons closet is gone. He must have taken it with him. Do you know where he went? I'm surprised he's not here with all the commotion.
Is Nigel? No, Nigel's not there.
Yeah, he followed. Yeah.
Yep.
Do I know that he left the monastery?
I mean, you know that Nigel followed him off wherever he was going,
Okay.
and that he nor Nigel have come after all the commotion
Yeah.
that seemed to wake up the
Yeah.
whole place.
Well, then we just better keep somebody sitting on this
Blue Jack.
gangster until he gets back.
Right. So I think they would have. Yeah, I think that they would have found some rope in the meantime. Someone
Oh,
would.
good.
There's rope somewhere, and so I'll go ahead and say, let's. I'm trying to think what might be a better specific. I think probably just unless someone has a roguish feat that seems more appropriate, just to trust fate to try to tie her up. But if other people can help.
Right. I've still got a little bit of exhaustion to spare.
So who wants to give it a shot?
Well,
You're the lucky one.
Clem seems to me to be the one who's got the most like.
Well, for that matter, if we want to use your jury rig to try to
Right,
whip
exactly.
up this
Jury
rope
rig
into
some
us.
bonds.
Yeah,
Yes.
Lean into your skills, man.
I think that.
Clem, Clem looks at Lancelot and Arvin and goes, "We definitely need to tie her up because when she wakes up, she's going to be furious. And currently, I don't know if I should be furious or ashamed, but we'll discuss that later." I'm gonna try to jury rig some bonds that will keep her in trust for now.
Okay.
And that did not go well.
Uh-oh.
That is a 6.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
so, well, with the 6, though, someone could use mark exhaustion to help and make it a 7.
I have no exhaustion to spare.
I will mark exhaustion.
Okay.
I'm dead on my feet.
All right, so yeah, with Lancelot's exhaustion to make it a 7, you have created a device that works once and then breaks. And once in this context, I think just means that you have tied her up, but like this is not something where if you let her out, you could also then put it back on, right? Like
Right.
you've rigged up a thing that will hold until it's removed, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Clem
think
goes,
at this point, someone. So Lancelot, as the person who does know that Faye has the key, do you share that with anybody or no?
They still haven't come out of their room.
Mhm.
Yeah, no. I'm not revealing that
Okay.
because I don't want her involved in this quite yet.
All right. So I think that the other monks conclude that Braden must have left the monastery and he must have taken the key with him. It's the only logical explanation. And so now that she is tied up, perhaps instead of of locking her in the weapons room, they'll just have to like put her in one of the bedrooms tied up and guard the door.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And,
you're able to do that. She still seems out for the count.
and I'll be staying nearby, nearby, but excuse me, taking it easy
Mm-hmm.
and waiting for Braden to get back.
Okay.
Clem speaks up. Are the monks still kind of lingering around, or do I have some time with my two compatriots?
I mean, I think that as things calm down, the monks seem to look to you three as far as like who's going to guard the door.
Yeah. So I guess we're the guards at the
Yeah.
moment.
And in fact, actually, I think
So-
that there's also a little bit of a sense. Nobody says so, but I think you all get a little bit of a feeling like you were obviously helping with her, but we're not entirely sure that this isn't connected to you being here.
Mm.
And so there's a little bit of a sense of maybe it would be best if the three of you kind of stay in this spot too, instead of continuing to wander around.
Right. That's fine. I'll say we'll watch the door. I'm sure Braden will be back soon.
All right, so I think before too long here, by the time all that has happened, Braden and Nigel and Peppa do return, and you hear Braden shouting out, "Is everyone all right? Is everyone all right?"
Nobody that matters is hurt.
He sees the three of you and just there's a moment where you see the adrenaline just draining out of him, and he takes a moment and just kind of sits down against the wall just for a moment, putting his head in his hands. Is she in there?
Yeah.
Yep. We subdued her. Well, Arbin and I did.
And he sees your bandages.
Clem goes, how did you know she would be in
He looks up at Peppa to just say, I just came from the town where I was planning to tell Rhodia that I killed Pruitt. But Peppa
Wait,
said that she
what?
had gone into the well with the two of you And so I hurried back here because God only knows what she would have done if you hadn't stopped her.
Wait.
Although
No,
I gather that you have already learned the folly of bringing her with you through the tunnel anyway. I understand this is a very complex situation. I want to thank you for subduing her before she could hurt any of my people.
but no, time out. Like seriously, time out. Did you just say you came from the town square to tell Rodeo what? That you killed her, at this point, I'm assuming, partner? Did you really kill him, or are you covering for someone else? Because let's be honest, telling her you killed him is a death sentence.
I thought it might be.
It took
Then you didn't kill her. Who did then? I think you know. In fact, I'm pretty certain you know. And I admire your wanting to protect the monks of the monastery. They're your charge, but sacrificing yourself on Rhodia's blade was not exactly the wisest course of action. Not that wise course of action seemed to rule this entire night. He looks a little self-abashed.
And let's be honest. After finding out from Rhodia that there are folks coming to find him because he has connection places, if he's that important and you confess to killing him, I'm sure they're not going to leave your head attached to your shoulder. So I think you should come clean about what is going on.
To be clear, I was doing what I felt was best for the monastery, and I still am, which means that I am not just going to tell you, a stranger who I've known only for a few days, all of the things that could harm this monastery and the people here. I don't want to die, but I also don't want anyone else to die.
So the
If
rest
I confessed, it would end
Clem's
with me.
friends and the vagabonds.
No, it wouldn't. Actually,
No,
it
no.
wouldn't.
I think the Corbin conspiracy would probably take this monastery apart after you died, because that's what they do.
Yeah, there's a look on Clem's face. Like, for the first time, you see Clem angry. And he's like, are you kidding me? The Corbin conspiracy, when they find their people was killed by a supposedly peaceful monk, will raise this whole town to the ground. And you think that was the best decision you could have made? You serious? You are no joke. I get it. Pruitt was a dick and probably did deserve to die. But there are far better ways of doing it. Instead of self-sacrifice, that isn't a self-sacrifice. It's actually just an entire town's worth of sacrifice.
The way I see it, there's only one way that that Pruitt's superiors don't. There's only one person on whom suspicion can land, and the town is not going to suffer for it, and that's Rhodey.
And Clem
So
goes, it was a lover's spat. She killed him in passion. Obviously, she was the muscle, he was the brains.
and it'll be a whole lot easier for that to be accepted if she's dead too.
And it would
So
also look more favorably on the town if the one to take her out happened to be the one to come across this. Looks at, looks at, looks at the head monk, shaking his head, still very angry.
The head monk, incidentally, is very angry too, but you can see him working to remain calm. And I think he considers his words for a moment, and then he looks to you, Arbin, and says, Arbin, I know you the best, you and your colleagues here.
Yes,
You know what we believe in here at this monastery.
I do.
What your colleagues have just proposed to me is that we murder an unconscious, unarmed, tied up woman and tell lies about what happened here.
Yes.
On the
That,
theory that we would be able to persuade the people who knew Pruitt best that his most loyal bodyguard killed him. And if we are unable to do so, then now we have killed them both and lied about it.
it is a thorny dilemma, Brayden. If you, if you, if you gave yourself up though to the corporate conspiracy as the killer, which you are not, I understand. The corporate conspiracy is likely not to take your blood price, shall we call it, and leave the town. On the other hand, the course of action that Lancelot is suggesting has its risks as well, as you say. If they decide not to leave the story and just decide that the entire town is guilty. We are at one of those forks where we can't see the result of either end. Maybe there are no good ends. It may be that the corporate conspiracy is going to come here in force and do horrible things. In which case, I think I'll look at Arbin, I'll look at Lancelot and Clem. The least that we're going to do is to stand against anything they would do to this town, but what force they would bring once they find Pruitt is dead, no matter who is offered up as the murderer, it disquiets me.
And
I-
let's be honest. If you know who did it, giving that person up, if they are in this monastery, means maybe the town is not raised, but this monastery won't see another day. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And at this
I'll
point,
give Clem a
the
look like
few
I
could
told
be
you
hurt.
that.
no, I'm open to other options.
Well,
It's bedtime for
maybe
Peppa.
I
Peppa?
have one.
What's your idea,
Maybe.
Peppa?
Because what we're really good at is distractions, right?
Hmm.
Oh no. Oh
Noodles,
no.
fire.
No,
all sorts of-
I'm not talking about another noodle incident.
Oh, thank God.
I'm
you're
talking
talking about-
I'm talking about something that I found in their house.
Wait, what now?
Oh.
So, treating the body with respect, I wrapped, or with Irma's assistance, I paid for a sheet, and we wrapped Pruitt's body and put his body in the house where he had been staying, just to get it off the street and so everything was neater.
Mhm.
So that's what we did. Irma did not want to stick around, so I took the initiative to poke my beak into a couple of places. And I found a document which the River Folk Company might find quite interesting. It was a schedule of smuggling drops.
Okay.
And as you know, the River Folk Company make their trade by the river. Well, the smuggling drops were in Pinehurst, or
Pinehorn.
around Pinehurst.
Horn.
What? Who was it?
Pinehorn.
Fine,
Yeah.
hon.
Pinehorn. Pinehorn. Sorry.
Yeah. That's the clearing to the north. It's the only one with a path to Windgap Refuge.
Right. So, and she'll pull out I'm guessing that there's like a little pocket somewhere in the robes that she's wearing, and she take it out and hand it over to Lancelot and say, we could ransom this to the Riverfolk Company and distract.
I don't know how
Pruitt.
that's relevant to this situation, though.
Well,
Putting the onus of the crime on another power.
No, well, I don't know how we would particularly do that unless we hauled the bodies and left them at one of those sites.
No, if I understand, Peppy, you're suggesting that by releasing this to the Riverfall Company, the Corvid conspiracy will have that to deal with rather than dealing with
Oh,
Yeah.
dealing
Yeah.
with any issues here.
Right, because this is
This
this
is
is
a
this is
I
very
see.
small, and it doesn't have a lot of it's Pinehorn is going to be a more major focus because it has the river access. It has does it have a bridge? I'm looking
No,
at the
but
map real
it's
quick.
got docks. It's a much bigger clearing than
Yeah,
Windgap Refuge.
it's got connections to Rooston. It's got the river, and so that's going to be a much bigger concern to them than Windgrab Refuge, which is a small community. It serves a smaller group of people, and then you've got the outlying clusters of settlers and stuff that are back in the hills. They're going to be more concerned with that than they will with this.
but
And
That's
so
your
that
problem.
may buy us some time to figure out what to do. It may distract them from even doing something. Maybe we can move the bodies closer to Pinehorn and
Let me
say,
stop you
oh,
right
hey.
there. I want to be very clear about something.
Yeah.
I will not support any course of action that results in further violence, even to one such as Rhodia. I thank you for stopping her from hurting anyone here, but I cannot support you taking her life. I will not support it, and if you wished to remove her from this place only to then murder her, I would have to intervene.
What if we removed her and I gave you my word that we would not murder her, that we would just remove her from this clearing to make it look like that she fled after the death of Pruitt for whatever reason? But I give you my word. And then the group's going to look at me again because I'm giving my word for something that we do not take her life. Upon my honor.
That is something
that be
I will let you
acceptable?
roll Persuade an NPC for.
All right. That's
So that's
charm, is
roll
it
with
not?
charm, yeah.
it does seem like a good idea to go and cause trouble for the Corvids in Pinehorn. I like that idea.
Oh yeah, I'm all about causing them trouble.
Mm-hmm.
3. I rolled a
Three.
3.
They are high on my list.
I think, unfortunately, Arbin, he looks to you and he says, "There was once a time where I would have taken you at your word." but then you come here with the rest of these.
Well, so um,
And right now, I know that Rhodia only found her way in here and suspects one of my monks because she followed you and your friends through the tunnel. So while I do thank you for subduing her here, it seems to me that the 5 of you have caused more trouble than there would have even been before.
Oh, at that point, Clem is just like, oh, now come on,
no,
read
he's
the
got a point.
room. There's
He's got a
there's
point.
a there's
He's
a
got a
tu-
point.
there's a tunnel. See, he goes, Lancelot, you haven't been in the tunnel. They've been hoarding weapons in this tunnel, which is directly connected to the well. It's obvious he's protecting one of his folks. Like the
Oh,
trouble
yeah.
that we've caused is nothing compared to the devastation the Corbett conspiracy would bring down because their informant, their connection to this town, was murdered by one of his peaceful monks.
Well,
As much as I don't want to deal with the river folk,
all right.
if I
You know,
bring this to them, we could make it work.
so how about we 5 of us head to Pinehorn and see what we can do to distract the Corvids from any sites they may have on this area, and you handle Rhodia how you think is best, because clearly we're not going to. So
I think the best way to do that would be to set Rhodia free upon threat of death. I said threat
no, she's not gonna. She's not gonna.
because we obvious. Well, here's the thing: we uncovered the artifact from their home.
And she'll be
The threat of
pissed
death
and
is
come after us.
technically not from us.
She'll probably come after us
Well,
if she finds out we have it.
that's the if. Well, maybe not. If she realizes that it's a sign of a backstab to the Corvette conspiracy, and we threaten to tell the Corvette conspiracy, or at least give it to the river folk and have the river folk deal with it. Thus, she has 2 entities: the Corvette conspiracy and the river folk deal with instead of us.
Nigel, you've been quiet.
This is a complex situation. If Rhodius stays here, there are people that can easily figure out that she will be here. So keeping her here will not be much of a protection to this place.
I
I am
think. Sorry,
perfectly
go
willing.
ahead.
I am perfectly willing to bring her with us and keep her alive. There's nothing that would cause me problems for that, and causing problems for her people. I have no problem with that either. It seems to me like if we just leave to distract, there will be a chance that there will be nothing left if we return. Perhaps if we could get some idea of what you are protecting your monks from, other than this crime.
At this time, I am somewhat reluctant to share further secrets with all of you. as it seems as though the ones that you know now have not improved our situation.
I am aware of who you are protecting.
I'll give Nigel a look. Oh, surprise.
Big
He does
names.
look surprised at that, but doesn't say anything.
I know who you suspected first. I do not speak this individual's name.
My theory on all of this, knowing the town of Windgap Refuge very well, and having had several conversations with Mr. Pruitt myself, do not believe that the town or the monastery would be razed. Do you know what Mr. Pruitt was here in town to do?
He died before we could find that out.
Well, I'll tell you. He planned to bring in all manner of luxury goods to bribe the individuals here in town to look the other way so that they could hide out here with all manner of people on the run, weapons, contraband, etc. Many people here in the town seemed quite happy to accept those bribes. I did not believe that this was good for Windgap Refuge and said so, and that was the source of prior conflict with Mr. Pruitt. But the Corvid conspiracy would not raise the town from the map, eliminating that business opportunity if they believed that in their eyes justice had been done. I don't believe that's true. And so, although I did not want to sacrifice myself, it seems as though putting all of our hopes on a gamble that we could murder another and persuade that she did it or distract them. I am not saying that I am happy with this situation, but I've not been persuaded that any of the suggestions you have made so far are better.
Do you think you can defeat her in combat?
I would never attempt it.
Because at this, well, don't worry about it. Because at this point, looks at Lancelot, I feel like we could just cut our ties and leave, let her loose, and let her have her way with this entire monastery. Because obviously, you've been plotting and you're still protecting someone who Nigel knows, and you just aren't coming to grips with this. At this point, because you're protecting this person, your vow of pacifism or neutrality is gone.
That's not true. And if you
Someone
knew the truth, I don't share it with you because I don't trust you with that information. It is my vow that keeps my lips
he
sealed.
has a day.
Nigel's going to get up and walk towards Olbit's room.
Where are you going?
To find answers.
I would ask all of you to leave this monastery.
Sounds like the best idea to me.
Nigel's still going.
I think he's going to start moving to try to block your path, but I think then from that direction at the end of the hallway, you see Faye and Olvid standing together, and Faye says, "What if we run?" And Braden says, "Faye, this is not your concern. Let me handle this." but she does not look like she's persuaded by that. Alvid is standing there looking a little bit confused and scared with her.
Where would you run to?
She shrugs. Alvid says, I mean, anywhere but Pinehorn.
Would
Yes. Well, I do believe we have information that if one could use to gain protection from.
I think Braden kind of steps in again and says, Faye, Alvid, I'm handling this. I don't think that if you run, we're in a better situation. And I don't think that you should be speaking in front of these individuals. They may mean
Let's
well, but I
speak.
think that they're dangerous.
could Clem read a tense situation to see if he turned over the information that Peppa found along with these two, giving them credit for turning it over to the Riverfolk that they would seek, that they would get protection from the Riverfolk?
I think
And this
that
is
would not
specifically
be a
and
read
this-
a tense situation. What I would say is, I don't think that there's a move you can do to find out how that would go. However, the idea that
Or-
perhaps in exchange for this information, the Riverfolk Company would be willing to offer transport and protection, that is something that seems like that could happen. It does not answer the question of what you tell the Corvid conspiracy happened, but you think that probably the Riverfolk Company would be willing to do that.
And
Sounds like
so
That could be a
Clem
piece
goes-
of this.
so Clem speaks up and says, I think that the Riverfolk Company would be willing to protect them, potentially given the vital information that Peppa found. That being said, that does not answer what we tell the Corvid conspiracy. So if you're willing to protect him, obviously you are, then you need to help us figure out how to do that with as little bloodshed as possible.
Well, I had a plan, and then you lectured me at some length about how you thought that plan would lead to the razing of the entire town.
Yeah, because I'm sure she's still not unconscious, and I'm pretty sure if she's not, she's heard all this.
Oh, no,
Only
you can't
one way
make
that.
that assumption. No. I mean, well, okay, Clem can guess that, but I don't. You don't get to decide that that's true.
She's sturdy. She might not stay knocked out that long.
Clem is salty today, man.
Yes. He's the grumpy old man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just honestly, he thought he was going to come through and find something simple like they were maybe warrior monks instead of peaceful monks. But no, it just no. Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing: is that y'all have not done a good job at persuading these folks to trust you.
He tried.
Yeah, my rolls have been terrible. Well,
well, not only that,
And honestly,
terrible
Clem
trust
tried to stop.
yeah.
Well, right. So the point
Yeah,
is
Clem
that it's
tried to
like,
stop.
you know, from their perspective, you're making a messy situation messier. So, like, that's why you're getting the attitude and the closed mouth, is because they worry that telling you anything just makes it worse. So,
And you know what? He's got a point.
yeah. So I think at this point, he will look to all of you and just say, I believe that the best chance everyone else here has is to give the Corvid conspiracy someone they believe is the killer. And I am willing to take that on in order to protect my people. I've not been persuaded that any other option is better. It seems to me that if they go on the run, if we don't give them a suspect, that will only lead to further violence.
And you do realize that what is down below would no longer be a secret.
Would you plan to tell them? I suppose
She
Rhodia
will.
knows now, thanks to you. I would tell the truth that this monastery was founded on the site of a bandit hideout. And over the years, as monks have come to stay, many of them had weapons that we put down there, and I did not destroy them. I put them out of sight. That is the truth. I thought we could sell them, but then that is just putting those weapons out into the world for them to do more violence. I thought the best way to deal with these weapons, in keeping with the oath that I made when I became a monk here, was to put them where they would not be used by anyone.
And destruction would have done the same. Destruction would have been.
Well,
I don't think that's our business.
I think that in hindsight, I sure wish that I had.
That's not really our business. That's his call.
It also is,
Sadly, it
frankly,
became our business.
none of you have, all of you carry weapons around in the world. You commit violence all the time. You suggest murder of an unarmed woman. And you purport to judge me for locking weapons away instead of destroying them?
Listen, I'm a vagabond. I never said I was a pacifist. Now, my thing is, it became our business. We kind of got into the employ of figuring out how, the of the town was murdered and well.
So then,
So obviously, when we just started to investigate, she was going to follow and ran into your stash of weapons. So the question still boils down to, what do we do about her?
my plan is to tell her that I disagreed with Mr. Pruitt's plans and killed him. That is what I went down to the town to say, except that she had already traveled here. And Faye steps forward again and says, Braden, you can't. And he's like, it is not your decision to make. I took an oath to protect the people of this monastery, and I will do so to the best of my ability. And Faye, all that I will not ask you to share anything with these people that you are uncomfortable sharing. But I will not forbid it either. I fear that they are not trustworthy, but I have to trust you. Even though you may have found your own oath lately difficult to uphold. And at this point, Faye's ears kind of fold back, and Braden just says, he looks to all of you. It doesn't matter who did it at this point, because I would die for any of my monks. I took that oath and I mean it. And that goes for violence carried out within these walls. Now, I understand that all of you have gotten wrapped up in this. I understand that at heart, perhaps, you are concerned for the well-being of the town. But right now, I believe that my plan is best.
Well,
You think she'll believe you?
It was my impression of her that she is not the sort of person who, when given a solution, looks around for others.
well, we are vagabonds. We move from town to town. We do have vital information that the river folk would find interesting. Looks around at everyone else. If he blames us and we leave, he wouldn't have to sacrifice himself. Those two would be protected. And we could tell the river folk that we did it in defense after we found out this information. And we could then use it to get protection for ourselves. We are far more capable than those two,
That's true.
as much as it
I like
as
that
much
idea.
as it pains
Take-
me to even think about going back to the folk.
Take the blame for the crime.
We've taken blame many times before.
We have.
Sure. I'm okay with that.
Nigel, Peppa.
Works for me.
I would prefer it if the
Now, there's a one problem with that.
truly innocent were left in peace.
Well, now here's one problem with that. Rhodia knows that we didn't do it. I mean, we might be able to convince her. She's not.
Actually, I think Arbin's actions, along with your forceful entry into the situation, may sell her on our betrayal.
Yeah. Plus, I kind of heard some of what you said, and then you wandering off after Braden back up the mountain didn't look so hot. So she's probably primed to think a little less than the best of us.
I mean, to
And-
be
and-
sure, she was
and-
very suspicious of you to begin with, and then the three of you did knock her unconscious.
Yes,
Yeah.
But
and we did try to
And-
delay it. We did try to delay her at the bottom of the stairs. We did try to throw sand in her gears.
And also, Peppa, you did use her dead lover's body as way to gain entry to her home and rob her. Not saying it was a bad idea. Not saying
Respectfully.
it was a.
Respectfully,
I'm not saying it
vagabonds.
was a bad idea.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
I
saying
think
it was a bad idea. In fact, I encourage it.
I think that there's some exchanged looks between Braden and Faye, and Braden is just looks to all of you, and I think I need one more persuade an NPC roll, but this is a group. You know, everyone is doing it, so we can have one of you roll with charm, and then others can help if as per the usual rules for
I'll
that.
roll.
Okay,
I'll roll.
and this is persuading to let you all take the blame, essentially.
I rolled an 8 plus 2 is a 10.
All right. Um, I think you watch the last sort of brick of resistance in Braden's mind kind of crumble, and he kind of just sags and just says, even after I doubted you and asked you to leave, and I, this.
Oh yeah, no, no, that's our MO. That's totally our MO. Don't even worry about it. We do need to get our stuff and go.
Well,
we have to flee
Yeah, we have to flee swiftly and in haste
because you have found out the truth.
and noisily.
So
I think Faye will look to Braden and just say, Braden, I have to say it. And Braden is a little concerned. Like, you get the impression that he maybe even doesn't necessarily know the whole truth of what happened. He had his suspicions and was deliberately not asking about it. But I think what Faye looks to all of you, just tears in her eyes, and just says, "This, you're doing such an amazing thing. I don't know how to thank you, but I suppose it's enough to tell you what really happened. You see, it's kind of all a big screw up, honestly. You see, Ovid here," and he kind of waves, is like, he came from Pinehorn, and he just worked down there at a leather working shop, and then just one day, out of just dumb luck, he had the bad timing to be somewhere that he saw the Corvid conspiracy commit a murder. And specifically, it was Rhodia that did it. And Ovid kind of nods and says, I just, I saw her, and she saw me, and I knew that I had to get out of there, and I ran the only place I could think of, which was here. And then I had no money, so I decided to start staying here, and I thought it would be a good place to hide, and I ended up feeling like I can't go home anyway, and so maybe I could just be here, and that would be okay. And I have been trying to get used to it here, but then I was down at the general store, the trading post, for Monk Business, and I saw Rodeo and Pruitt in town, and I knew that if she saw me, she would kill me, and I was going to run again rather than be found out. And then Faye says,
So-
and I couldn't let that happen. But I can't pretend that this was a good plan or smart or anything. I don't know how to do this stuff, but I took a crossbow from the weapons locker, and I was going to try to, I don't know, I mean, I thought maybe I would just try to scare Rhodia or something. But I went through the tunnel, and before I could even climb out, I saw, I thought it was her looking down at me, and I just shot, and I didn't even stay around to see what happened. I just panicked. I dropped the crossbow in the water, and hurried back. And then after all that, I didn't even kill the right person.
Okay. Where's the cross? Where's the weapon now?
I dropped it in the
Because
water
we
of the
didn't
well.
find
We never went into the bottom of the well. We just found the tunnel and went into the tunnel.
It's in the water.
So it's in the
yes, I was
water.
gonna. Hmm. Do you think we should have? Do you think we should retrieve before just in case they decide to comb the well?
Well, they'll find the crossbow, but that won't point at anybody in particular.
Yeah,
Or
there's no way
against
they
it.
could prove who shot it.
But we
Now, it would be unlikely for,
Well,
like, say, one of us to drop a crossbow after a murder. That's true. We would take it with us. Or dispose it in some other way rather
Now
than just
we could
found.
say we will have they stay out of town or out of sight until they go after us for this murder. Because if she sees him, then regardless of how badly she wants to get us, she'll get him first and then come after us. So is there a place they can hide that's not in the monastery, not in town, until we have this crazy woman come after us for murder we did not commit?
Keep them out of Rhodia's way.
Well, and he's kind of hesitating, and Braden just says, I think that if he stays in his room until Rhodia leaves, if she's been told to chase after you and you are no longer here, I suspect she will leave in pursuit rather than do the door-to-door search here.
Sounds like a plan.
The only question I have for us guys is how are we going to get through the blockades?
What blockade?
Because the best bet would be to, well, I'm sure there were guards posted at the bridges outside of Iron.
Oh, we're not going
Right.
to Iron Vein.
No, we're going to Rooston.
Yeah, we're going to go to first to Proudhorn or whatever that is.
Pinehorn.
There.
Einhorn?
Pinehorn and then to
Pinehorn, and then to Rooston. Yeah, we're going to stay away from Iron Vein for a while.
until things calm down
Well-
a bit.
Yeah, until Noodle incident 2 Electric Boogaloo blows over.
Well, well, I was thinking that if we wanted to make haste to the river boat, to the Riverfolk Company for protection, it's either Pinehorn or
Pinehorn.
Clutcher's Creek.
No,
There's-
Pinehorn makes
there-
all the sense.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
Pinehorn, absolutely.
Well,
Because
not to
then
mention
that-
Pinehorn, there's a path there. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
have to travel by the
Yeah.
path, but like you could.
Yeah, it'll be faster.
Yeah.
We won't
Yeah.
be climbing mountains.
Right.
But
I have
climbing
tried-
out-
I mean, and as
Wild
as long
life
as you're ahead of Rhodia, like there wouldn't be any reason anyone would have to suspect you've done anything. But at this point, Braden just looks all of you and says, "I confess that I judged hastily. We are all of us still imperfect. We do our best. Even sometimes we fail to live up to the vows that we set for ourselves, but doing this is, I believe, a great service to the people of the woodland. And it is a sacrifice on your part that I appreciate and thank you for.
Just just destroy all those weapons downstairs. So that way there's no incriminating evidence on you peaceful monks.
And
I'll see it
Brayden,
done.
if she asks which of us did it, it was me. I'm the one she'll believe did it. I'm the warrior. I'm the one that would be the best with the crossbow. I did it to strike against the corporate conspiracy. I think she'll believe that.
Yeah. Either that or you can tell her it was me. Because I'm small, I'm fast, and I could probably fit down the well a little bit easier.
That's also true.
Well, also,
You
you
could-
recall, Peppa, that you specifically know that that she had taken special note of you as
Yeah.
like
Ooh,
as a fellow corvid in terms of the bird type.
I
She
didn't know
kind
that.
of like had like respect / suspicion of you.
Oh, that's that's even better.
Yeah.
Play into that.
Yeah. Hey, and I also use a bow.
Yeah.
And
So,
and Clemens, and if none of that works, tell him a very shifty, nervous turtle who didn't necessarily want to be seen might have done it out of desperation.
So, essentially, any one of us could have done it.
This is murder by
except
death.
Nigel. Except Nigel. Except Nigel because he's completely unarmed.
Actually, Nigel's known to hang with me a lot, so he might have been helping a friend. So
All right, so here's would you all asking the players now for a moment, would you like to have us end tonight's session with a quick montage of, you know, perhaps over some kind of music? You are, you know, packing up to leave. You're being given supplies to clear all of your depletion boxes.
Yay!
I think
hey,
I think the 18 theme song would be a good outro.
I was thinking something a little bit more like orchestral and soaring because it's a little bit like, you know, but you know, hey, up to you.
Wait.
But
I just thought of a name. The N Team.
the end team. Oh.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun.
So
if only you had kept those cigars instead
Yeah.
of putting them on a corpse.
Hey,
we could have
we can.
you
We
could
can
absolutely
make a
stop down
stop.
by there on your way out of town.
Yeah, we could absolutely stop.
Wait a minute. Clem, does that make Clem B.A. Baracus?
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
Yes. well, yeah.
Because he was always the most
Like that.
technically minded.
So I think we show you being kitted up with supplies. Overnight, I think it makes sense that you're going to go ahead and not let the sun rise with you still
Oh,
in
yeah.
town.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
we're gone.
And then I think we see you heading off. So are you traveling? We're not going to do the travel move right now. We'll do it when we start next time. But are you going down the path then, rather than
Yeah.
through the woods?
Yep,
Alright.
speed.
Okay, so
Speed
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
obvious attention grabbing. Where did they go?
Yeah.
They went that way. Awesome.
yeah. So what I'm going to go ahead and say is that as you leave Wind Gap Refuge with this, you are going to gain 5 prestige with the denizens, and
5. Okay.
yeah, and 3 notoriety with the Corvid conspiracy.
So
Okay.
Nigel and Arbin have the connection. So prestige and notoriety gains are doubled for the two of us
Yeah.
if we're seen together.
Wow, I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
so. Yeah.
And that means that go up to +2 with the
You know what? Hey.
denizens.
And
I'm gonna wind up with -1 with the Corvid conspiracy. Does that have to? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
at
that's
1.
like-
So
Yep.
And-
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it up at the moment to mark
Oh,
it
okay.
for mine.
Yeah, I'll do it for you on
Okay.
the spreadsheet. Yeah.
I actually
Yeah,
think
I'm-
I've got 2.
Yeah.
Because we
So
got
in
four,
fact,
four
actually, so
notoriety?
3 notoriety is basically enough to move. If you have 0 before, it'll move it to -1 and then reset.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, because I already had one. So then with the 3, then I'll have one left over, so it'll be
right.
2.
Uh, so have you done anything on the sheet yet?
Whoops.
Um, so yeah, I think so basically, if you had 1 notoriety and a +0 modifier, then now you will have 1 notoriety and a -1 modifier. If that makes sense.
Right, but I
What
already
if
had
you,
I already had one in notoriety, so now I have 2 in notoriety and a -1
N-
modifier.
no, no, uh, no,
Your
because
notoriety won't change. It's just your -1.
right, because when you had 1, we add 2 to that, and it resets to 0 with a -1 modifier, and then there's only 1 left, so you'd have 1.
Okay.
But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
all of you now
So-
though are going to have a -1 with a Corvid conspiracy, and it's just a
Yep.
question
Yep.
of how much extra
Yeah.
you have. But and because I think some of you had a +1 with denizens already, remember you have to get up to 10 to make it a +2.
yeah, I already had notoriety with them, so I'm actually at 2 notoriety after taking the negative.
All right. Yeah. So in any case, well done, vagabonds. This was actually, you had failed rolls out of the way of most of the original plans that I had for you, but I honestly am very happy with this outcome. For you to all take the blame is great. And so I think we will end the story for tonight this time, and we can certainly now do our session moves, which is we go through your drives, and I think some of you are definitely going to complete this time. Complete some. So let's just go in order. Nigel, your drives. I have it up so I can read them for you if you like.
Okay.
So, clean paws, advance when you accomplish an illicit criminal goal while maintaining a believable veneer of innocence. You literally did the opposite of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think you get that one.
Yeah.
But development, contribute to a lasting development or improvement of an entire clearing. I don't think so. Not really.
Okay.
Because
They're not better off than they were. No.
right, yeah, I think
Oh,
the idea that they're going to have to send someone else to do the plan that Pruitt was going to do. So it's otherwise not really changing for the clearing. But for Arbin,
Yeah. Okay.
I'll read them if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so for Arbin, you have drive 1 folk hero, advance when you perform a significant act of service or heroism on behalf of the denizens, I think you did
Yeah,
that.
taking the rap, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we're not doing the journey to the new clearing this time, so you
No,
won't have that
not
one.
this
But you
time, yeah.
definitely get it for folk hero. For Lancelot, you have Wanderlust is
Wanderlust
again for traveling, and
no,
then anti-militarist when you sabotage a non-denizen's faction or armies or their ability to wage war. It's a little bit mixed because certainly the Corvid conspiracy doesn't have traditional armies, but you certainly interrupted one of their plans substantially. I mean, they're going to probably keep doing it, but they're going to have to replace Pruitt, which is not trivial. It definitely, I think, interrupts. You know what? I'm going to give you credit for it because from the faction standpoint, I'm going to say that the plot that they were doing is, quashed. They can try it again, but they do have to start it over because they lost the guy that was doing it.
Okay.
And then for Clem, you have your wanted one still, which didn't come into play this time. Although now you'll be wanted by 2 different factions.
I was just gonna say I now have 2 crimes that I'm wanted for.
But mysteries advance when you discover the truth behind strange phenomena or goings on within clearing. You absolutely did that this time. You solved the mystery, sort of. No, you did it.
You were
I mean,
there when
yeah,
it was
you-
solved.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then last but not least, Peppa, you have the anti-militarist, and if I gave it to Lancelot, it makes sense that you get it too. And then
Thank
you
you.
also have Wanderlust, but we'll
Yeah.
do the travel to the next clearing next time.
Yep.
All right, so you can all also now choose to change any of those drives or natures or connections as you see fit. It seems like still folks are not necessarily well. I would just take that back. I was going to say I haven't used the connections, but you just did for the prestige, the notoriety, prestige,
Yep.
all the stuff.
Yep.
So, I think that'll do it for tonight's session. And next time, we will travel with the Vagabonds, the N team, to
The N team.
Pinehorn. And just ahead of the angry Blue Jay bodyguard who's going to be in pursuit as you go into the place where the Corvid conspiracy is more set up. We'll see how that goes. But
Into the lion's den.
yeah, so we will find out for more when we return for more Root the Role Playing Game on so many levels.
So many levels.
So many
So
levels.
many.